Did you know that if there weren't certain food colorings added into Coca-Cola, it would actually be green? Did you know that? Now, why did I tell you that? Well, did you know that Iceland has got the highest Coca-Cola consumption per capita anywhere in the world? Now, why did I tell you that? Because now you're all paying attention and I can start. And you're all like, oh no, he's super cool. He does cool things like that. Right, so, this is serious stuff, people. Also, I will mention at this time, there are certain people out there that do not want me to share this stuff with you. This is like some secret stuff, okay? So you should probably turn your phones off, close your laptops, because that's how they get you, okay? So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Yes, I know what you're thinking. I look better in the photo than in real life. Thank you, Photoshop. So, as you can see, I mean, you can read on your thing, my name is James Dodkins, we all know that now. I made my name in England working with a company called HomeServe, an insurance company. I helped them become the fastest growing insurance company in UK history. Yeah, hold your applause. And luckily, it gave me a lot of opportunities to progress. Things happened, we parted ways, I started my own company. Over the years, I've started and run and owned and sold many companies. Lots of them have been very successful. Lots of them have not been very successful. One of the companies I owned was, have you guys heard of Uber? Imagine, if you will, for a moment with me, a taxi app that is nowhere near as good as Uber. That was me. So, there you go. I'm a board member of the Academy of Customer Experience. Half of my time I spend running my companies back in the UK. The other half of my time I spend doing things like this, traveling the world, talking to people about customer centricity and process improvement. I do that under the banner of the BP group, the Business Process Group. If you want to learn more about those guys, I'll tell you some more at the end. I judge the Process Excellence Awards every single year, and I wrote a book once. I'm not going to say I'm an author, because if you read it, you would disagree with me. I never wanted to write a book, ever. It was never anything I wanted to do. I kind of got forced to do it. So it's only like 90 pages long. Half of it is me complaining that I've got to write a book. So, but if you decide to stay to the end, which I hope a lot of you will, I'll give you some details where you can get a free PDF copy of that, because I'm just that nice. So before we start, I want to play a game with all of you, okay? Now, I can see to the back, so I'm going to know if you don't play this, okay? What I want you to do is everybody on their feet and find a partner. Do that now. Go. Now, what traditionally happens is everybody goes, you're an A. Now, the reason they do that is because they think that A's are going to go first. Well, guess what? You're right, well done. So, A's, your challenge is you have 1 minute to point at different things around the room and say what they are. Okay, you're thinking, okay. I'll give you an example. Speakers, podium, monitor, James Dodkins, nice to meet you, banner, big screen, exit doors that none of you will be using throughout my presentation. So you point at things and say what they are. B's, you have to count how many they get correct within a minute. And I say correct because if I say spaceship, that's not correct. Okay, so are we all clear on this? It doesn't really matter if you're not, I don't really have time to go over it again. So, I'm going to time you as well. So get ready for this. Your time starts now. Go. Okay, so I want to see some hands in the air. Who got over 20? 30? 40? 50? Okay, so, the one over 60? Oh, okay, show off. So what we're going to do next is B's. You've got a slightly different task, okay? Your task is you have to point at something in the room, point at something else, but name the last thing you pointed at. I'll give you an example. Probably not a particularly good one, but I'll give you an example. So your first one's going to be silent. I got that right. Podium. James Dodkins, nice to meet you. Monitor. Big screen. Banner. Speakers. Exit door that none of you are going to use during my presentation. You get the picture. So you have to name the last thing you pointed at. So I don't know why you all sat down, this isn't over yet. So everyone back on their feet. You have exactly a minute. A's, you have to count how many they get correct. This is a little bit more important this time. And your minute starts now. Okay, you can sit down now, you've earned it, well done. Oh. Did you know that 25% of the bones in your body are in your feet? Now, why did I tell you that? Because you wouldn't shut up and I needed you to, so I can get in the rest of my presentation. So, that's literally nothing to do with anything we're doing, it's just an interesting fact. So, the B's, did any of you get more than 20? Ooh. 30? 40? Okay, so why did I play this game with you? There are various reasons. One, it sort of shows you that the more complexity you add into a process, the lower the performance. Pretty simple. Another thing is, it got you on your feet and get some energy going, because I know that after lunch you've eaten all that cold food, you're like, oh, I want to go home. And lastly, it wasted like 5 minutes of my presentation, so I don't really have very much left to do, which is really cool for me. You did all the work. Now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a secret, okay? I will, can you all see me? Just if you can't, you can come to, no, don't come to the front. I'm going to beat the best score in the room, which was what, like 60 something? But I'll do it in half the time, 30 seconds. And I'll do it the hard way. I'll do it the B's way. So have I got a volunteer down here that can time me for 30 seconds? Thank you. So you tell me when to go. I'll do it the hard way. I'll beat the highest score in 30 seconds. You ready? You've got to tell me when to go. Shirt, tie, shirt, tie, shirt, tie, shirt, tie, shirt, tie, shirt, tie, shirt. You get the picture. You get the picture. Okay, so there's another point with that, which brings me round to think about rules and people's interpretation of rules and how everything we do is based on rules. Not necessarily your interpretation of a rule, but someone else's interpretation of a rule. And one of the big rules out there that we think, to be a customer-centric company, we need to do customer feedback, okay? But we're going to look at that in a slightly different way. So, most companies out there do some sort of customer feedback. So why is it we are consistently getting such bad customer experience from most companies? And again, some of you might be saying, I'm here for a lean conference. Why are you talking to me about customers? I'll explain. No customers equals no organization. No organization equals no processes. No processes equals no lean. No lean equals no jobs for you. So you've got to pay attention to your customers. And the thing is, we've been systematically brainwashed into thinking that in order to be a customer-centric organization, we must do customer feedback. We must ask them what they thought of our services in the past and what they would like us to be doing differently in the future. I'm going to show you why this is crazy. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is want versus need. You will hear a lot of people saying, go and ask your customers what they want and then work to deliver it. Crazy. Don't do that. And I'll explain why. So, Audience participation again. You were very good last time. Do not disappoint me this time. Anybody in the room got children? Anybody in the room got children in the family? As long as you're familiar with the concept of children, this will work just fine, don't worry. So, if you were to ask your kids, what do you want to eat for dinner? What sort of things are they going to say? Pizza, candy, chocolate, cookies, all in a burger. So it sounds quite good, actually. However, you understand as parents that that is not what they need. Now, want and need are two very separate things. There are very few people in the world that can really properly articulate what it is that they need from a company. We can really only say what we want. And some people say, yeah, what we do is we find out customers' needs. We don't find out what they want. We go to them and say, what do you need? Doesn't quite work that way. You have to understand, like parents do to children, bless you, what they need in order to be successful. If you look at the difference between Nokia and Apple, while Nokia were out asking people what they wanted and delivering that, Apple were out there figuring out what we actually needed, and the rest sort of speaks for itself. So, why customer feedback is flawed? I'm telling you now customer feedback is flawed, and I'm going to go over the reasons why. One of the first is, it is easily manipulated, okay? Most of the time, we think internally that, yeah, we're doing customer feedback, that makes us really customer-centric. Now, there is a big difference between customer-focused and customer-centric. Not enough time to get into that now, but there is a very big difference. Now, what tends to happen is people say, okay, we'll do loads of customer feedback surveys, and do you know what it shows? It shows how good we are as a department, good we are as a team, how good we are as a company. That's doing it for the wrong reason, okay? That's the wrong focus. Doing customer feedback to show how good you are is not the right reason for doing it. Also, again, as I said, it's very departmental. You kind of want everyone else's department to get bad scores so you look better than them, right? It's true. It's kind of like if we imagine a Rubik's Cube and each department is a different colour, and we've been told you will get paid the most if you can get the most coloured sides all on one side. So we go at it, we try and get the most coloured sides, but we're happily screwing up everybody else's work as we go along because we are getting paid for the delivery of that. So again, it's the wrong focus. Now, a lot of companies, what they've done is they've said, okay, what we're going to do to be really customer-centric is we will give large proportions of people's bonus, tie it to customer feedback scores, which you think, yeah, that sounds really customer-centric. However, this causes its own problem, and I'll give you a little story. There was a car maker who makes cars, just for those that didn't. And they decided, okay, with our salespeople, what we are going to do is we're going to tie a large portion of their bonus to how well they do on an NPS survey that we will send out after somebody has bought a car. Okay, we with me so far? So what would happen was they'd sell the car and then they'd start to open up a little bit. They'd start to get emotional with the customers. My dog, he needs this operation at the vets, and if he doesn't get it, he's probably going to die. And oh, by the way, if you don't give me a 10 on this feedback score, I'm not going to get my bonus. Completely unrelated, but yeah, poor Rover. Or they'd say, oh, my wife, she needs new brake pads on her car, and if I don't change them, then she might crash and die. By the way, if you don't give me a 10 on this feedback score, I'm not going to get my bonus. I'm just saying. Or, oh, it's little Jimmy's Christmas coming up, and he really wants a bike. And if he doesn't get a bike, he might die of sadness. And by the way, if you don't give me a 10 on this feedback score, I'm not going to get my bonus. So what happened is it showed who was the best at manipulating their customers. However, in head office, what were they seeing? They were seeing that as soon as they introduced this initiative, their NPS scores went through the roof. They went, this is brilliant, we are doing amazingly. Let's roll this out everywhere else. Okay, so what ended up happening is that they thought they were doing brilliantly when in fact they were upsetting customers more than they ever were before. Now, there's another story anecdotally with the government. Now, I'm not going to get too much into government right now for obvious reasons, but Our government in the UK were really trying to lower the amount of children in child poverty. So guess what they did? They changed the boundaries in which a child became classed as in child poverty, because they were more focused about the result of the score than the actual experience being had by their customers, which are the citizens. Now that happens all too often. So I'm going to move on. They're also self-selecting. There are only certain types of feedbacker. Now, feedbacker is not a word. I made it up. Don't check. And there's really 4 different types. You've got the people that do it all the time. I like to call them the serial feedbackers. They will give feedback no matter what. Okay? You've got the extreme feedbackers. So the people that if it's really, really good or really, really bad, they'll give feedback. You've got the incentive feedbackers. So for instance, if you've got the chance of winning an iPad or whatever, they will then do the feedback. And you've got people like me who just pretty much never do it because I know it doesn't really make any difference. So I just don't do it. So the 4 real parts. But what this means is, okay, so hands in the room, who are the serial feedbackers that just do feedback all the time, no matter what? 2, 3, 4. Maybe about 10 people in the room. What that means is this entire room is being represented by 10 people, okay, who are very specific types of people. When you do the research, you find that the people that give feedback all the time are specific types of people. So we're all being represented by that category of customer, which of course isn't necessarily what's best for business. That's basically it. And again, expectations and quality sway results. So if you would, I don't know, you think about it, you look at TripAdvisor, you look at some of the results on there, you don't really know what the expectations and the quality of the person that put that review is. For instance, with me, I don't really have very high expectations or very high views of quality when I go for a meal, for instance. I like meals. As long as it's on the table in front of me, I'm good. So you can pretty much put anything in front of me and I'll give you 5 stars. However, there are some more discerning people in the world, probably most of you guys, that would come to the same restaurant and think, well, this isn't 5 star, this is 1 star. So you kind of don't know who to believe anymore. And the problem is, again, with these extreme results, you get results that are either done when they're like super, super, super good service or super, super, super bad service. So for instance, this is a real quote that I made up myself. Well, the service I received at that restaurant yesterday was satisfactory. I must fill in a feedback survey and let them know. Do you know who said that? No one. Ever. It doesn't work like that. Also, they're retrospective. I am so bad for this. I don't even know what country I'm supposed to be in next week, let alone what happened like 3 days ago. Okay, so you get these feedback emails. Did you enjoy your stay at this hotel? I don't know. And for instance, if you were to ask me on a Monday morning, I'm going to be like, oh, it was awful. If you're going to ask me on a Friday night, I'm going to be like, yeah, it was great. Because it all comes into memory and mood. And the problem is, if you get bad feedback, it is already too late. You have already delivered the bad experience. It's not good enough to just say, well, we know we give bad experience. Okay, yeah, well done. Congratulations. And the scope is usually too narrow. It's only usually part of a bigger experience that you get asked about. So for instance, if there was a cable guy that was coming to fit cable in your house so you can watch all the TV channels, the entire experience up to that point could have been awful. It could have been ridiculous, you could have hated it. But the guy that came to do the service could have been brilliant. Now they ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to friends and family? What are you supposed to say? Do you do an average? You say, well, it was 1 all the rest of the time, but it's 10 now. So what, do I give them a 5? It just tells the company nothing. It tells them nothing at all. It means that you and me as customers don't really know how to answer, and it gives us unreliable data. The other thing is, it is impersonal. Okay, so what time are we on? Yeah, we've got time for this. I'm going to ask Victoria to come up on the stage, and we're going to do a little role play. Okay, so round of applause for Victoria coming to the stage, thank you. Woo, Victoria, yeah. So, okay, do you want to use the mic? You can shout, I don't mind. Okay, so you're going to play the part of the customer. I'm going to play the part of the interviewer that's calling up to get these feedback results. Okay, are we ready? Are you ready?
Where do I see the text?
I'm going to do it in a moment. That's why I'm asking if you're ready.
I am ready.
You wouldn't have thought we'd pre-prepared this. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being extremely impolite and 10 being extremely polite, how polite would you rate our engineer?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. He was awful. He was rude and aggressive. He left muddy footprints on my carpet. He kept obnoxious, demanding drinks to which he would glug down and then belch to show his appreciation. He took phone calls in the middle of a conversation with me on which he would curse and swear. He said various sexist comments and left an appalling mess everywhere that he went. To top it all off, he didn't even complete the job before he made his excuse and left.
Oh no, how horrible. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being, you get the picture. Thank you very much, round of applause. The point of this is, there is no quicker way to let a customer know that you do not value their opinion than trying to force them to condense complex emotions down to a predetermined scale. Did we get that? There is no faster way to let a customer know you do not care about their opinion than forcing them to distill complex emotions down to a number on a predetermined scale. Okay? We're doing the opposite of what we think we're doing. And the last thing as well, you only get answers to the questions that you ask. Most of this stuff is very assumptive. They're all closed questions, yes, no, maybe answers. And there's no real room to give explanations. Now, I'm going to give you an example that I actually had in real life. Now, I very rarely do these things, but for the purposes of the book, I did this one. But I did it, criticised it consistently all the way through. So, the very first question was, now this was when I had my house built. It was built by a house builder. They built the house. That's what they do. First question, would you recommend us to a friend or family member? And that's a really difficult question to answer. How do I answer that? Because some of my friends, yes, definitely I would. I would say, yes, go with these guys, build the house. Some people I definitely wouldn't recommend to. So how do I answer that? I've only got yes or no, so I'll say no. Let's say no. Click no. Next question. How likely are you to recommend us to a friend or family? Question on a scale of 1 to 10. That's like, how unlikely are you? It's kind of like you see in the movies, there's like the geeky kid at school, and he's asking the girl to prom. And he says, will you go to prom with me? And she says, no. He says, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to go to prom with me? And she says, 1. And he says, so there's a chance. What's that about? That's a stupid question. Next thing was, did you need any repairs? So after we moved in, did we need any repairs doing? Now, I'm nitpicking a little bit here, but yes, we did, and they know that because they did them. Why are they asking me that? Surely they already know that. But then the next question was, were you happy with the expected, like basically, did the number of repairs you needed meet your expectations? The answer is yes, because shortly after we signed the contract, there was a viral piece about this company leaving lots of homeowners with problems. So my expectations were kind of crappy, but they met them. But they wouldn't know this because I just ticked yes in the box. How happy were you with the repairs? No, actually, I was quite happy with the repairs. They were quite quick. They did them to a good standard. But it's kind of like saying, how happy are you with the apology I gave after punching you in the face? It kind of, I was happy with the repairs, but I was unhappy that they needed to happen. So that's a stupid question. And of course, they'll look at this and go, you know what? All of our customers are really happy that we come and fix their repairs. It's kind of the wrong focus, do you not agree? And, and the last one is, again, because we didn't get to explain anything in this survey, is there anything else you would like to add to explain your responses? Finally, 1,000 characters limit. So we would really love to hear your feedback, unless it's over 1,000 characters, then we don't care. But don't worry, we don't read this anyway. So that probably you just shouldn't fill it in. But the big point of this altogether is, with this skewed data, with this retrospective data, with the data that is swayed by certain types of people, this data that is manipulated, why are you asking customers how well you did? How the hell don't you already know whether you're delivering a good experience or not? And people say, no, James, you got this wrong. We once did this survey and it let us know that our website was difficult to use. Are you telling me that with the thousands of people you employed, there wasn't one person there that could have told you that beforehand? You employ thousands of brilliant people and then go and ask customers, oh, we're giving a good experience. The way I like to think about it is like a football team. Okay, as long as you understand who the customer is and you understand the outcome they're there to achieve, you know the critical things to their success. So for instance, if you've done Lean and Six Sigma before, you'd know CTQs. Well, this is like CTSs. I just made that up. Critical to success. Okay, so work with me here. In a football team, who is the customer? The fan. The fan, well done. 10 points. For the fan going to watch a football game, so if I knew more about handball, I'd make it more relevant to you guys, but I just don't, sorry. So what is the successful outcome of the customer going to watch the football game? Well, it's to see the team win. So now you know who the customer is, you know what their successful outcome is. Now, what are the two most relevant things you need to measure in order to know whether you've delivered success or not? How many you scored, how many they scored. As long as you know those things, you know whether you delivered customer success or not. In an organization, as long as you know who your customer is, as long as you know what success looks like to that customer, and you know the critical things that need to be done to deliver that, you should not need to ask them how it went. You should already know. You should already know this. And again, if you take it back to the football analogy, the manager doesn't sit there and go, no, well, that's our strategy, we're losing, but never mind. They'll make changes in the game because they know clearly what the outcome is. The outcome is to win the game. It's not really that interesting to know how many times somebody's kicked the ball. It's not really that interesting to know how many yards somebody's run. I mean, imagine, would a football team, after you've gone to watch the match, would they send you a survey 3 weeks later saying, by the way, on a scale of 1 to 10, did we win? You'd be going, how do they not know this already? But it is exactly the same in business. How do you not know whether you are delivering a good service or not? And I'll leave it on this. Customer experience is like sex. If you're good at it, you don't need to ask how it went. So I'll finish there. You can get in touch with me here. If you want to know more about what the BP Group does, drop me an email. If you want a copy of the book or the slides, drop me an email. But other than that, thank you very much.